everyone. I am glad I was able to bring you all here. I wanted to share this view of Hyrule with all of you.
It is now almost 2 years since the release of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Being the sequel of arguably the most popular Zelda game in all of video game history, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom had a lot to live up to. When the game first dropped, it was received by the fandom with mixed reviews, to say the least. Some argue that the storyline of the game should have stuck closer to that of Breath of the Wild, and of course, the what-if mission game, Age of Calamity. Furthermore, if Breath of the Wild didn't change the Zelda timeline enough, Tears of the Kingdom really took the timeline in a completely different direction. While I won't be going into all of that in this video, I will cite the Ceiling Wars in Zelda Skyward Sword in comparison to the Ceiling Wars in Tears of the Kingdom as a prime example of timeline destruction. But I think I will expound more about the changes in the Zelda timeline more in another video. I digress. Tears of the Kingdom brought a lot to the table with all of the new features and powers Link has, such as Fuse and Descend, just to name a few. It also answered many questions that people had concerning the ancient tribe, the Zonai. Although it is more accurate to say it answered certain questions just to replace those questions with other questions. For instance, where did all the Sheikah technology go? Why were there only 2 Zonai left at the time of King Rauru? And of course, the main reason for the video, what is the meaning of the true ending of the game? In today's video, we are going to try to answer that question based off the evidence we gathered while playing the game, as well as what does this ending mean for the future of Hyrule. Before we begin, if you like what we do here and want to support the channel, please give the subscribe button and bell icon a big Master Sword pedestal plunge to never miss when a new video drops. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. This is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, True Ending, Explored. What did Zelda Tears of the Kingdom improve from Breath of the Wild? In Zelda games, we can always look to see many new surprises in terms of boss battles and character design, but also plenty of carefully placed Easter eggs and references that nod back to past Zelda titles. They give first-time players a glimpse into the vast world of Hyrule and also keep many of us longtime fans of the franchise bursting with the joy of nostalgia. That being said, Zelda Breath of the Wild gave us one of the bleakest views of Hyrule we had ever seen up to this point in the decades-long run of the franchise. It was the first time we had ever seen Hyrule in such a terrible state of degradation and ruin in any Zelda game. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom took this a step further by now showing us the vast world no one knew existed both under the land of Hyrule, i.e. the depths, and the land above Hyrule, i.e. the Sky Islands. Each of these places were left in a state of ruin and dilapidation, but not from the wear and tear of old age as one would expect from structures so ancient. Just like Hyrule, these places were theaters of countless wars and fierce battles that left the good guys on the defense and just surviving while the evil forces thrived. This is probably why there are no more Zonai in existence. Although it is not expressly known if the Sky Islands as well as the abandoned mines in the depths were destroyed by Ganondorf and his forces in the past, or were they destroyed during some epic unknown battle in the time of the Zonai. I think it had to have been the latter, which is why only Rauru and his older sister Mineru were the last living Zonai during the establishment of the Kingdom of Hyrule. So knowing all this, I can safely say Tears of the Kingdom succeeded in making the already bleak conditions of Hyrule much worse. And for the cherry on top of this bittersweet cake of misery, we are finally given the face of the man who threatened the Kingdom of Hyrule in its infancy and the epic war that took place to stop him. Sidebar here, do you guys remember what Ganondorf said to Rauru after he had just bodied Queen Sonia? I mean, yeah, Ganondorf did blindside King Rauru with his stealth attack at the castle using his puppet Zelda, but I have to agree with Ganondorf on this one. Had Rauru took the threat of Ganondorf much more seriously, the death of Queen Sonia could have been avoided. Not saying a sneak attack is fair, mind you, but then again, Ganondorf wouldn't be the evil mastermind he is if he played fair, just saying. The Dragon Tears, as well as the ancient temples where each of the secret stones of the Zonai lay protected by the spirits of the ancient sages, showed the events that brought about the end of such an advanced and prosperous civilization as ancient Hyrule. The lingering souls of the sages, the secret stones, and the revival of an ancient evil. For this section of the video, I think we'll do my explanation better justice if I start with a brief explanation of the secret stones of the Zonai. According to our #1 authority on all things Zonai, Mineru, the secret stones are powerful artifacts that strengthen the abilities and powers of the wearer. They are basically amplifiers to one's own existing abilities and powers. They can also bring out the wearer's latent potential, but they cannot give someone powers they did not already possess. After ignoring several invitations for an audience with King Rauru to formalize the Gerudo's inclusion into the service of the Kingdom of Hyrule, Ganondorf and his attendants meet with Rauru on bended knee as Ganondorf pledges fealty to the kingdom, but not before throwing in some carefully slid-in slights at King Rauru and the shame, air quotes, that it is that he and his sister are the last of the Zonai. Ganondorf starts to let his true intentions and malice towards the idea of pledging himself under another shine through. Rauru quickly picks up on Ganondorf's insinuation of an accident that might happen to end Rauru's reign as king prematurely. In response, Rauru then declares with all confidence that even if something unfortunate was to happen to him, that the kingdom as well as the peace that it brings will endure for generations. Both Ganondorf and Rauru look upon each other in silence, issuing an unspoken challenge to one another. With the secret stones in his arsenal, Rauru thought with all confidence that he had the power to subdue any threat posed by any enemy of the kingdom, and for the most part, he did. To test the might of the defenses of Hyrule, Ganondorf orders a massive attack on the kingdom by unleashing a horde of rampaging Molduga, which are literally the most dangerous creatures that dwell in the Gerudo Desert. When King Rauru, Sonia, and Zelda channel their powers together while amplified by their individual secret stones, Rauru launches a devastating beam of energy, blowing away all of the Molduga. Aw, look at how dizzy they are. Man, Rauru didn't have to do them like that. Okay, who else besides me wants a Molduga as a pet? I mean, they are quite cute when you get past the aggressive behavior and chomping anything it hears moving in the sands. Anyway, with his plan foiled, Ganondorf had realized that a frontal attack with brute force will not work. So being the cunning evil king that Ganondorf is, he decides he will fight fire with fire. He would need a secret stone of his own. To get one, he uses his magic and manipulation to conjure a gloom-made puppet to lure Queen Sonia into a private meeting where the puppet attempts to assassinate the queen, but unfortunately the real Zelda and Sonia were wise to Ganondorf's trick. Zelda uses her secret stone to recall the blade before it had hit its intended target, thwarting the assassination attempt. However, this victory would be short-lived since Ganondorf appears right behind Sonia and bodies her in one strike, stealing her secret stone in the process. The takeaway from this is you don't send a puppet. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. With the secret stone finally in his possession, Ganondorf's evil magic and inner demon emerges, transforming him into the Demon King. His poisonous gloom tears across the skies as the blood moon rises, raining down gloom everywhere, creating hordes of monsters all over Hyrule. Rauru soon arrives to see his beloved Sonia laying lifeless at Ganondorf's feet. The Demon King mocks Rauru, saying that he squandered the godlike power of the secret stones, and because of him, Sonia is just the first of many victims of Rauru's own arrogance at thinking that he could control Ganondorf. Wow, Ganondorf. Way to kick someone when they're down. Just saying. Rauru stands and prepares for battle when Ganondorf attacks first, sending a mighty torrent of his own gloom at him, which Rauru guards against just in time for Zelda to teleport herself, Sonia, and Rauru away to regroup. The situation has become a lot more serious now that Ganondorf has a secret stone in his possession. I guess since kings think alike, Rauru devises a plan to turn the tides of the war back in the favor of the good guys with, you guessed it, more secret stones. But for this plan to work, he needs warriors with exceptional abilities. This is why it was beneficial for Rauru to seek the aid of the best warriors among each race of Hyrule and give them a secret stone. These warriors became the sages united to defeat Ganondorf. Having him outnumbered, they should have been able to gang up on Ganondorf and defeat him, but unfortunately during the time it took them to prepare for their assault, Ganondorf had honed his powers even further, so the sages' combined might still was not enough to vanquish him. Yep folks, Ganondorf had given the sages the proverbial cosmic bitch slap and was about to finish all of them off when Rauru, in a final act of self-sacrifice, used what was left of his powers as well as his secret stone to seal Ganondorf and himself using the very essence of his own life force. The surviving sages knew that one day the seal would fade and Ganondorf would threaten Hyrule again, so the sages sealed their secret stones away inside each of the sacred temples that they guarded. And to ensure that they would be able to impart their wisdom to their descendants, the ancient sages bound their own souls to each of their secret stones, which allowed them to, like Rauru's spirit, linger inside the secret stones, only reacting when their true descendants were present or close enough to be influenced. Mineru, the Sage of Spirits, a vast knowledge of Zonai history and technology. After picking up the secret stone that fell off the glowing dog paw that was oddly lodged into the chest of the mummy standing in the middle of the room, Zelda is teleported thousands of years into the past, where she meets Queen Sonia and King Rauru. Zelda explains to them that she is from the future and it is urgent that she gets back to her own time, since the mummy that had attacked them in the catacombs under the castle is wreaking havoc all over the land of Hyrule. Zelda showed them the odd stone that had brought her to them, but the king and queen were not the slightest bit shaken by this revelation, as Queen Sonia and Mineru are both possessors of secret stones as well. Just like Zelda, Sonia possessed the power of time, but neither of them were aware that the secret stones would allow someone to travel far back into the past, when most of the time it only allowed time users to recall an object just a few moments from where they had displaced. For instance, when the teacup fell off the table when Sonia was training Zelda on how to use her powers, Sonia was able to recall it back into its original place just before it hit the ground. Since this concept of far back time travel was new to his understanding of the secret stones, Rauru decided that it would be best for all of them to pay a visit to his older sister Mineru, since she is the most knowledgeable about the history of the Zonai as well as their technology and artifacts. In my opinion, Mineru's kind of like the Puro of the Zonai, only a lot mellower. Wow, they even have similar design to their examination goggles. Anyway, upon meeting Mineru, Zelda explains what had happened to her, which Mineru admits that she had not heard of the secret stones being able to bestow such power, and gave everyone a brief rundown on the known abilities of the secret stones, including, but not limited to, the forbidden draconification technique. According to what we learned from Mineru, if the power to return to the past was used, then it had to have come from Zelda herself, and the stone merely strengthened that power. Zelda would have to master her own power to reverse what she had done. Oddly even still, the Master Sword traveled back into the past straight to Zelda after it had been badly damaged by dehydrated Ganon. Man, he looks thirsty. Look at all those wrinkles. Maybe Ganondorf wouldn't be so mean if he just had a glass of water. After Rauru made the ultimate sacrifice to seal Ganondorf away, Zelda returned to speak to Mineru, who was not long for this world due to the injury she had suffered during the Sealing Wars. Zelda tells Mineru that in her original time, Ganondorf was vulnerable to even the smallest piece of the Master Sword. Furthermore, the sword can absorb sacred power, and over time, it can not only fix itself, but can grow even stronger. Understandably, Mineru is intrigued by the abilities of the sword and Zelda's idea on how to use it to rid the world of Ganondorf for good, but she knows that it could take centuries for the sword to be strong enough to do that. Mineru tells Zelda that it would be impossible for Zelda to provide the sword with sacred power for so long, but Zelda knows a way. She tells Mineru that she will do the forbidden technique and swallow her secret stone. Hearing this upsets Mineru as she tries to persuade Zelda against it by reiterating why draconification is such a forbidden technique. It would be permanently throwing away everything that made Zelda who she is: her mind, her body, her soul. After it was clear that Zelda had made up her mind and resolved to deliver the Master Sword to Link personally after the centuries that it would take for the sword to repair itself, Mineru accepted her choice. Furthermore, feeling that she had bore some of the blame for the events that had unfolded, Mineru pledges herself wholeheartedly to the goal of stopping Ganondorf for good, even if her body passes away. Before she had succumbed to her injuries, Mineru made all of the preparations to leave murals and other records for the chosen hero to find before she had bound her soul to her sacred stone. She would do all of this to atone for what she viewed as her past failures that cost her brother his life, and now Zelda her very being. She made good on that pledge as she and the new generation of the sages helped Link to destroy Ganondorf once and for all. If you collected all the tears in the game, you get the good ending of the game and the reason for this video. To commemorate their triumph against the Demon King, Mineru brings Zelda, Link, Pura, and the new generation of the sages to the archipelago just outside the Temple of Time in the skies. With her soul no longer bound to the construct body, Mineru tells everyone that she is glad that she can share this rare view of Hyrule with all of them. Zelda, curious as to how she was able to return to her normal form, Mineru offers her own theory as an explanation. According to Mineru, when Rauru and Sonia channeled their power of light and time into Link, they were able to reverse the effects of Zelda's secret stone, returning her back to normal. Mineru's spirit form soon starts to become particles as her soul can no longer cling to the living world. She asks Zelda not to worry about her. Mineru uses the time that she has left to congratulate all of them at overcoming the burden that her era left behind. She could rest in peace knowing that Hyrule would be safe in the capable hands of the new generation. The new sages take the oath of service to the land of Hyrule just as their ancestors did so many centuries ago. I personally think that the true meaning of this ending is the passing of the torch. Where Mineru's era had failed, their descendants had succeeded. With the power of teamwork and cooperation, their combined efforts, amplified by their secret stones, gave them the power to overcome the impossible. The court's conclusion. And there you have it, folks. The good ending of the game is so bittersweet to me. Mineru was such a well-written and dynamic character. She was the epitome of the concept of the lingering spirit with unfinished business and regret. It was so heartbreaking to say goodbye to her. This ending was, in my opinion, one of the saddest endings in a Zelda game since Midna broke the mirror of Twilight in Twilight Princess. When you have characters that really make the viewer care about them, I swear that is damn good storytelling. This ending was a real tearjerker. Hey, maybe that's why they call it Tears of the Kingdom? Huh? Seriously, bad jokes aside, I truly love this ending and this game, although I wish it would have been more continuity between Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is a great game, especially when you take it as its own game and don't compare it too much with Breath of the Wild. So what do you think about the good ending of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Do you agree with my perspective on the good ending signifying the passing of the torch to the next generation? If not, how do you interpret the good ending of the game? I'd love to hear your perspective in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Have a great day, be safe, and thanks for listening. This has been Chris of Crispy Kingdom. The council is dismissed.